got microphones?
All right, I'm going to call over to the town board meeting at the Town of Lisbon Town Hall on Monday, July 25th, 2022 at 6:33 PM. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Here.
Supervisor Moonen,
Here.
Supervisor Beal. Here. Supervisor Quinn. Here. Supervisor Flotecker. Here. Administrator Nicholas. Here. And Clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes. And then we've also got Building Inspector Brian Ailhoffen and DPW Director Joe DiStefano in the audience.
Thank you. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is comments from citizens present. Does anyone have any comments tonight? Anyone on Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. Chairman, we do have one hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, go ahead.
Noel Geyer on Zoom.
Hi, this is Noel. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just saw that there was information on this agenda pertaining to the Quick Trip, and I'm not sure which Quick Trip it is talking about. But I did want to make the comment that I was definitely disappointed in the news article that was in the paper just it's about 2 weeks ago, saying that the Quick Trip on the corner of Q and 164, which was supposed to be nothing major and was supposed to be kind of going in with the rest of the area, is the largest Quick Trip in the state of Wisconsin. So I'd really appreciate it if they consider these things before they ram this stuff into locations like that, because it is impacting us. The traffic out here is crazy, and the area where you have people who are leaving Quick Trip, they turn right to go south on 164. Right as they're merging with the traffic is exactly where people turning into our Riverview Drive subdivision. It's exactly the same spot. So the people who've already been hit by people coming off of the roundabout and trying to increase their speed, and people now merging from the Quick Trip onto the 164, they're all merging at the same place that somebody is going to be sitting and turning left into our subdivision. Anyone who needs to get into our subdivision from the north is going to have that spot where they have to sit. And there is no middle turn lane, which would have been the smartest thing to do, but they didn't do that. They added a lane for merging and then cut it off exactly at the entrance to our subdivision. So it is definitely an area that I think we've already seen increase in accidents, and we've had several accidents, very bad accidents right there, just prior to all of this happening, and now since this has been put in. So I think they're going to have to rethink that location of the merge lane, because it does end exactly at our subdivision door. So I'd really appreciate it if you think about that. And I still am concerned with the well, so I'm waiting to hear when they're going to be doing testing of the well water and how often. Since we're all on one well, basically the water streams from their property into our subdivision. And our wells are very shallow, as we've said, so that concern is real. And we're on one watershed, different from Sussex and Lisbon, so that is a concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Anyone else? No one else on Zoom?
No one else on Zoom.
Anyone in the audience wish to make any comments? All right, Item 4 is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a town board member requests that an item be removed. We have the 6:27 town board meeting minutes and the 7:11 meeting minutes. We have the pay request number 1, the super excavators for the Hamilton High School water main loop in the amount of $16,102.50. And then pay request number 2 for the super excavators for Hamilton High School water main loop in the amount of $151,370.95. Any questions or comments on that, or is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Moved by Supervisor Moon to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Linda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 5, accounts payable. First, we have authorizing the payment of the Falls Auto Parts bill in the amount of $86.84. Any questions or comments, or is there a motion on that?
I make a motion, we accept Falls Auto Parts bill in the amount of $86.84.
Is there a second?
I second.
By Paula. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item B is authorizing the payment of the remaining bills in the amount of $292,299.27.
Our top 5 expenses are waste management, $69,993.67. Waukesha County Treasurer for $63,886.54. Kunkel Engineering for $43,481.09. Muni Municipal Law and Litigation is $13,474.75, and Anthem Blue Cross $8,532.54. I ask for your approval.
Any questions or comments, or is there a motion?
I really appreciate you putting down always non-reimbursable or reimbursable. That
Right.
helps a lot to understand how the bill goes. So thank you.
I'll let Lisa and Natasha know.
Okay, thank you. I mean,
Motion made by Becky. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Linda. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 6 is announcements and correspondence. We have the Lisbon Sussex National Night Out on Wednesday, August 3rd at 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sussex Civic Center. We have a joint public hearing and plan commission meeting on Thursday, August 4th at 6:30 at the Richard Young Fire Station. Next town board meeting then is on Monday, the 8th at 6:30 at the town hall. And then we have a partisan primary election on Tuesday, the 9th, which is all day at the town hall, Redeemer Church, and at the fire station. Does anyone else have any other announcements or correspondence to note? Right, item 7 is administrator report.
So I spoke with Mike Sargent from the sanitary district. He's willing to stick with us as we transition from a sanitary district to a utility district. I also attended the sanitary district meeting to understand what they're currently working on and what they have pending. We received a correspondence from a Village of Heartland resident concerned about the fire department's raffle items, including a gun certificate. Received 2 anonymous non-compliant complaints. Just a reminder, we do not act on anonymous complaints. Our non-compliance update, the attorney is checking with Sharpley's attorney on the sale of the property. That's the one on Town Line Road. The Cole property is on the Plan Commission agenda for August. The Spence was in court and was given a 60-day extension to get their work done. Stefanski's property, it will close August 1st. We'll have a new owner. Our other post-employment benefits, our OPEB update. I brought that to you a couple of meetings ago. And the requirement started in 18, which meant our audit was, the first time we needed to do that was in 19. After our current payouts, we only have 1 employee left that qualifies for post-employment health insurance. So our auditor stated that the cost would be considered non-material and we no longer have to do the OPEB audit. We started working on the budget with the treasurer and department heads, and at the town board meeting, the department heads, the next town board meeting, the department heads will give their capital project request. For June reports, the clerk moved the 89 voters to Sussex for the 307 agreement, worked on preparing for the August partisan election, taught the deputy clerk how to test electronic voting machines, and she continued for training as well on WISVote, should have access rights by the end of this week to be able to get into WISVote. They processed 116 compost passes, 57 parking citations, 13 park reservations, 9 special assessment letters. The highway department staff completed first round of roadside mowing, worked on the new compost site, performed ditch work along Plainview Parkway, sprayed all weeds around guardrails, replaced culverts on Carroll Court, Lake 5 Road, and Hanson Drive. Staff in parks started their weekly mowing throughout all the parks and town-owned property, prepared and cleaned up after the community festival at Community Park, install LED light pole heads at Community Park, and their last summer seasonal employee started in June. The DPW director conducted monthly Public Works County meetings, staff meetings, and attended We Energies pre-con for Harvest Ridge Phase 3, checked on empty lots for mowing and sent out letters as needed, assisted highway with stormwater projects and gravel work in the compost site. Fire, there were 5 fire calls in June, 35 medical, 14 ALS, 22 inter-facility transports, and 4 vehicle accidents. We received mutual aid 4 times and gave mutual aid 31 times. Sheriff's Office had 75 traffic stops in June, 51 citations, 34 verbal warnings, 0 written warnings. They assisted fire and EMS 32 times, did 45 building checks, and had 23 911 hangups. They also placed a request last week for the board to consider the purchase of 2 flock cameras, which are plate readers. I'll bring that item for discussion at the next board meeting. That's my report.
Any questions for Kathy? Thank you,
Just,
Kathy.
I'm sorry, just a quick question or statement, I guess, from the Village of Lannon resident, Village of Heartland, they did not like the idea that we had a gun raffle, is that it?
Right, in our raffle, we raffle off, or the fire department raffles off
Right.
certificates in the amount,
Yeah,
not the gun themselves. So they can go and use that amount for that certificate at the location.
Okay.
They could buy a gun with it, but they could buy something else. if they
yeah, okay, good, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Mm-mm.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mhm.
Item 8, incorporation update.
All right, so we had our public hearing on the 20th. That went very well. The presentation was well done. We are in the process of putting together a little bit more information specifically on our quarries and what other on our comp plan means. So we're trying to show them how important the quarries are to Lisbon and what they do for the region as a whole. And so we're hoping to get that out to them by the end of the week. That's all I have.
All right, any other questions? Thank you. Lisbon economic conditions update.
I don't have anything.
I guess the only thing I have is that CPI was 1.3. in
I'm sorry,
June.
repeat that?
CPI was 1.3% in June, which is up a little bit from May, which was 1.0. So it is definitely an issue. All right, anyone have anything else? Item 10, supervisor reports.
We had our meeting last Wednesday night and Kathy came, so we appreciate that. We're just having some issues trying to get someone to do some work for us. I don't know if it's just a small job at Richmond School, but we're working on it very diligently. And Mike, like Kathy had mentioned, is willing to stay on. We do have to become part of the village by the end of the year, from what I understand. So we're looking forward to doing some new things. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else have anything to report? All right. Item 11, Plan Commission referrals. A, discussion and necessary action, request by TDC Lisbon LLC to approve a development agreement for the property located at North 62 West 22356 Richard Road.
This development agreement is for the south property in the industrial portion of Richard Road. We have had our attorney and their attorney approve the development agreement. It has gone through Plan Commission unanimously.
Questions or comments? Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the request by TDC Lisbon LLC to approve the development agreement for the property located at 862 22356 Richard Road.
Is there a second?
I,
Second by Becky. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 12, new business. A, discussion and necessary action regarding TDC Lisbon's request for an extension until October 15th, 2022 for purchase of vacant land in Business Park East.
So in front of you, you have the Second Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement. They are requesting to extend the contract to October 15th so we can close in November.
Oh, no, sir, you have to open that. Yes,
It
Thank you.
lapsed. And then, and they are going to pay for the carry costs of the loan that we have out. So that's what this does, is it allows for the extension of time, and they will pay directly to the town the cost of the incurred by holding the bond open 3 more months.
and you will figure out though that amount to
We
tell
did.
them?
We
Oh, you
did.
did, okay.
It's in the,
I see that, but I'm saying you figured it out.
yes.
Okay.
Any questions, comments?
Is there any other downstream impacts because of this? Or the
No.
timing?
As long as we get it closed by the end of the year, we'll be fine.
Becky, anything? Paula? Anything else, Linda? Is there a motion on this item?
I make a motion, we accept the Second Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement to extend it out to, what's the date on it?
October 15th.
October 15th, please.
All right. Any final discussion?
Mm-mm.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item B, discussion necessary action regarding request by Daniel and Rebecca Habercorn to dispute non-compliance letter that was received for violations at W225 North 8958 Jolin Drive.
So in your package, you have a letter from the Habercorns requesting the board to of their concerns on their violations. Also in front of you, you have the code compliance policy and procedures on what our procedure is for code compliance. And the Habercorns are here.
Okay. You want to come on up to the, you just state your name and address.
Dan Habercorn, W225 N8958 Jolin Drive.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, we're looking at just their complaint, not
Yep.
future complaints. I don't know what the picture said.
So just before we get going here, we have the updated code compliance list that we have here. So it says all compliance inspection requests need to be submitted in writing, filed with the clerk and signed by the administrator prior to any staff conducting a site inspection. If the complainant wants to be kept anonymous, they should be directed to speak with the Lisbon board member to write the complaint and sign it on behalf. The signed complaint by the board member shall be turned in and discussed with the administrator. The town board members are not required to serve as a complainant for the person, but may do so at their discretion. The town board member would like to write a complaint as a resident and say anonymous, they shall follow the same process as mentioned above. Item 2 is the clerk shall pass the complaints if signed by the administrator to the building inspector to perform a field inspection. Note items of non-compliance along with applicable town code section and take photos. If violations are found, the building inspector shall give notice of the non-compliance by certified mail service to the owner and or occupant of the property, giving them 30 days to make corrections. Information that's required is the property owner name, mailing address, address of property inspected, date of inspection, list of items in non-compliance, corrective action to be taken, and copy of Lisbon code section being enforced. Copy of the letter and photos will be sent to the administrator and the clerk. Item 4 is prior to expiration of the 30-day deadline, an extension may be requested with an appearance before the Lisbon board. Item 5 is a follow-up inspection is done after the time limit expires. If still in a state of non-compliance, when the time has lapsed, the issue will be referred to the sheriff's department for a citation to be issued. Once citation is issued, the matter is deemed to be in court and will only be addressed at the request of the Lisbon attorney. Item 6 is a report from the building inspector will be forwarded each month to the administrator and clerk by mail with the status of open non-compliance cases. Item 7, each month, the clerk shall bring the current non-compliance report and files to the town board meeting for sole purpose of advising the town board members as to the status of the matters. Item 8 is if the property becomes a non-compliance within 6 months after being brought into compliance, the issue of citation shall be commenced by the sheriff's department without the necessity of prior notice being given. And then item 9 is any staff deviation of this procedure shall be cleared with the Lisbon board beforehand. So the reason I read this is the board does not appear to have the authority to dismiss charges by the building inspector, correct, Kathy? So we can issue an extension to correct, but the board does not actually deem whether you are in compliance or not compliance.
Well, we're actually here to dispute that though.
You're here to dispute our policy?
No, the firewood. 'Cause we already talked about that last fall when the Lippies were present here. They brought up the concern. You guys did not have an issue when you looked at the fire piles. It's the right size, it's stacked, it's 4 feet tall or less. You can see on the pictures right there. So I would want to know exactly why it's in violation of town code.
I believe you received a copy of the code.
My understanding, the building inspector did not even go back there the first time he was there to look at the pile. I'd like to know why it's in violation of town policy. There's no rotting timbers or lumber or anything like that. So I need to know specifically why you say it's a violation.
Well, our policy has the building inspector go out and he deems it to be non-compliant. You
Ryan,
have 30
you know why
days
it's
to,
non-compliant?
excuse me, sir.
Sir, address us.
You have the ability to rectify that non-compliance or go to court with the citation. And then you can argue that with the judge and the attorney in the court.
I don't think that's right, because we already discussed this last fall. So what changed from last fall until right now? It was okay last fall, then all of a sudden, because the Lichties have an axe to grind with us to get Brian out, he doesn't even go back and look at the pile. And all of a sudden, it's in violation of the town code. There's no rotting lumber. The pieces are all within the right size, so I don't understand what the violation is.
So if we did not receive a complaint about, a written complaint from anyone about wood until just recently. And that's the one that you got your 30 days.
Yeah, and that wood's been there since last fall when we last talked about it last, so I don't understand what's.
But we did not receive a complaint, so we did not review the wood pile.
My understanding, the Lichties did discuss that with you when we talked about their.
But we
brush
did
pile
not.
That was 7 feet tall.
We
They
did,
took pictures and complained about our wood pile. and you guys
sir, we
discussed
have
it.
to have a written complaint in order to move forward. We did not receive a written complaint from the Lichties on the pile until just recently.
And again, I don't know what the violation is. You would tell me exactly what the violation is.
Madam
Was-
Administrator, can I
Go ahead.
ask a question? Just so we're not confusing multiple items here, can we get rundown of 12B, just so we can see where we're at in our policy and what exactly. I don't want them to confuse different complaints or non-complaints.
You want a rundown of what happened?
Rundown of 12B, just so we're not dealing with matters that are not on the agenda inside this.
Correct. So we received a complaint filed by for the Habercorns, and in there it was to address the pool as being a violation, specifically the size of the pool and the height of the pool, the logs decaying. Felt that it was an eyesore and the violation of the town's nuisance ordinance. The complaint states grass clippings were blown into the road. This is a violation of the town street and highway ordinance, specifically 3.01 and 3.04. And a letter was sent to the Habercorns by our building inspector in June. That was done by regular mail, and then again was done by certified mail after I spoke with Mr. Habercorn when he stated he never got it by certified mail. So I sent the building inspector out again to do the inspection and take a look at the logs. And Brian is here to go over any of those concerns, but specifically, our code states that the board has the ability to give extensions. These 3 code violations were found by our building inspector. They have been given a 30-day notice. That's where we sit.
We're in step 3 of our policy procedure.
That's correct. They
And-
get, well, yeah,
And this is the complaint on our sheet dated 6/17/2022.
Yes.
yes.
When we sent you the original letter, you asked that it be, you received it and asked that it be resent as certified, correct?
I'm just saying that the policy was not followed. I didn't necessarily request that it be certified, but we had many complaints against Brian that the policy of the town ordinance is not followed correctly. And there's just one example we gave.
So we resent the letter though, and you refused it?
We never got it. We were out those days, never got it.
According to the postmaster, it was refused twice.
Well, we never got the certified mail.
So a question was asked. All right, if you would just sit down, have Brian come up, please. Hi, Brian. Could you just run through the complaint and what you found?
Okay, so, excuse me. So I went out to the Habercorns property, it was June 17th. Because when I resent the letter, I did redate it. And what I had stated to the Habercorns when I talked to Mrs. Habercorn is I said, I didn't look at every log to look for rotting, but it was an eyesore to the Lichties. So that's where I came up with the eyesore portion of the complaint. And the pool, our ordinance states that if it's 200 cubic feet or more than 18 inches of water, it's not considered temporary. And their pool sides are 30 inches but it's 96 cubic feet. So it doesn't fall over the 200, but it can hold more than 18 inches of water. So if you filled it up, it would be 30 inches. So that's why I cited them for that complaint. The grass, I simply cited them and sent them the information to let them know that it is a violation of our ordinances and that they shouldn't do it. There was no reason to tell them to clean it up within 30 days, just not to do it any longer. Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah. Questions from the board?
Was it, I'm a little confused about the wood. Is it a large amount of that's rotten or just, I don't, I'm just a little confused myself about that part of it.
To be honest, I would say there's not a lot of area that's rotten. Some of the ones that are underneath the leaves, I can't really see, I didn't dig around. But the complaint said it was an eyesore. They didn't want to look at it. An eyesore is listed in our ordinance. So that was really the basis of the log pile, not the fact that it was rotting. The fact that it's an eyesore, and the complaint stated that it could bring rodents, spiders, sort of, that sort of thing. That's touched upon in our ordinance very lightly. I didn't see any evidence of that, to be honest with you, any rodents or any spiders, but it's been there for quite a while, you can tell. And it probably was stacked neatly at one time. It's a little bit in disarray, but
Because I guess I look at these pictures, Brian, and I'm just going, I see a lot of that, I guess, but what happens, so are you saying that they have to move it? Or to another part of the yard they could do, or just to give it away, or sell it, or whatever? What is the?
I guess I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, I don't
because-
think our code has the building inspector tell them how to rectify it, other than to get in compliance. So they could do whatever they felt was in their best interest. They could move it and remove anything that's decaying, or they could completely remove it. They could move it to another side of it doesn't matter, as long as the decaying stuff is gone and it's not an eyesore for the neighbor.
Thank you.
But it's the property owner's decision, not the building inspector.
That's what I was trying to clarify. Thank you.
With the pool, it's the ability, it's how much water the pool has the ability to hold. It's not how much is in it at the time.
That's the way I interpret it, because if you have a pool that's 40, that has a wall of 48 inches, and you only fill it to, let's say, 6 or 12 inches, in my opinion, it's a non-compliant pool because you can fill it to 48 inches. That's the way I interpret it in the code. 200 cubic feet or 18 inches of water.
So the code says they have to have a fence around it and a permit or whatever?
If it's a permanent pool, then you are supposed to get a permit. And the reason for the permit is to inspect that there's a fence around it if it's not 48 inches, to make sure that the electrical is compliant and that there's a removable ladder if it's an above ground pool. And then it has to have either removable ladder, or it has to have, in their case, I don't think they need a ladder, but I'm just telling you what the code is for a permanent pool. It has to have a fence around it with a self-latching gate that has the ability to lock. It's for safety purposes, because a pool is considered an attractive nuisance. So you're really protecting other people, not necessarily the property owner, in my opinion.
So those are all things that can be discussed if they take it forward, if they don't get into compliance.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I said that these are things that can be discussed with building inspector in front of the judge if it goes to citation, if they make the determination that they do not want to go into compliance before the 30 days is up.
Okay. Any other questions from Becky, anything? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Mr. Evercott? Do you have anything else? You gotta, we're on TV. You gotta come up.
It's my understanding we can actually make an appeal in front of the board if we don't agree with the decision. Again, I don't think the policy was even followed. He didn't
So-
even look at the wood pile. He didn't even see any grass clippings on the road when he came out. How can you say we're in violation when he doesn't even see those things?
So you weren't issued a letter or anything on the grass clippings.
Well, just
There's
the
nothing
complaint
to
letter
get-
from the
There's nothing to cure on the grass clippings other than just not to do it.
Yeah, we had officers out a couple different times. Every officer that came out said that they would not issue a citation themselves because we need reasonable time to clean the grass off after we're done mowing. Both times they came out as I was mowing, my wife was actually sweeping behind us. So all the officers that came out said that they would not see it as a violation, but apparently it went up the chain of command, and anytime there's grass on the road, it will be a violation for anybody, which ironically, tonight when I came here, one of the houses had a ton of grass on the road, so maybe I should send the sheriff out and issue a citation for that. Everyone's gonna get cited for grass on the road.
as I have stated in the past in this town of Lisbon, we are reactive to problems. We are not proactive on them. With things like this, we react on complaint basis because we do not have people that go around and look for complaints. It is just unfortunate that in this part of town, every neighbor is complaining about every neighbor, which we really wish would stop. We do not want to be in the middle of this anymore. You guys gotta figure out how to get along. You are wasting town resources and our time. This needs to stop. People are getting arrested over things that are stupid. Figure it out. There are 10,000 people in the town of Lisbon that know how to get along. But for some reason in this part of town, everyone has to involve us every time there's a problem. I don't know who caused it. I don't know who's worse. I don't know what to do. Trust me, if I knew what to do, I would do it. I really would. But here we are talking about a pool in wood again, that 50 other people in the town of Lisbon might have. And if somebody complains, you know what? We're gonna have to do the same thing. We're gonna be up here and we're gonna do exactly the same thing. Because that's our job, unfortunately,
Yeah, but
is
if
to
it's
review
us,
these
it's gotta
things.
apply to everybody, so we can go around and find any.
Yes,
pool,
you can
any
literally
house.
go around and tick everybody off in the town of Lisbon that has a pool and complain about it. You can go around and find every violation. Trust me, there are violations. We don't go looking for them. We are complaint based. You can go find someone that has 4 chickens on a 1 acre lot and complain that they have 4 chickens on a 1 acre lot. And all you're gonna do is make their life hell. That's all you're gonna do.
I
You're
know, I
not
go
gonna
through every
accomplish
day.
anything. But we have a problem here in this side of town that needs to be fixed. We need to figure out a way to fix this. We need to figure out how to be neighbors with each other. You can't be yelling at one neighbor to the other obscenities, whether it's happening or not. I don't know. It's what I hear. We can't be looking across neighbors' lawns or putting dog feces potentially, which I don't even know is true. We got to stop all this. We got to figure out how to be neighbors. Life is going to be so much easier for you if you guys just figure out a way to get along. Ignore each other. Come together, build a 10-foot fence. Hell, I'd vote for it at this point just to end this.
Actually,
mean-
they were inspected that they have to put up a fence sufficient enough to keep dogs out, so that's already been ordered by the court.
And they have to go back to court to get that enforced, I guess, and which will just cause more problems. And then the next time you don't have a light bulb in the right place, we're gonna hear about it. Or the next time they do something in their property, we're gonna hear about it because this is just so ridiculous. I'm telling you, life is gonna get a lot easier when you guys learn to get along. And I don't know what that means and how that is to be fixing that, but I really wish we have a way to figure it out.
Didn't you say the issues have been going on for the last 10 years? Unfortunately, we haven't been there the whole time.
You're right,
2 residents have been there 10 years.
but you're there now. And it's
Yeah.
back and forth
Second
and back and
homeowners.
forth and back and forth and back and forth. I just want it to end. So, but back to the agenda item as we have it in front of us today. So item 4 says prior to the expiration of 30 deadline, an extension may be requested by an appearance of the town board. So our attorney looked at this, obviously in preparation for this because our policies were questioned. So we had the attorney look at it to say, what can we and can we not do? Because we have to follow this to a T, because we're now going to be in the middle of this and people are going to be looking at us and writing complaints and looking at all this stuff. So our procedure followed by a T is that we can grant you an extension, but we cannot come up here and say that you are in compliance or not in compliance. That falls solely on the building inspector. So the next step would be whether or not you have this looked at and it's fixed. If it is not fixed, a citation would be issued. At that point, you would have to go to the courts and your peers would have to decide that.
I would
at that
actually like
time.
the building inspector to come out with me and look at the wood pile, because I want to see examples, of what he sees that's not compliant. As Linda said, it's just a pile of wood that's 40 inches tall. There's nothing rotting. I would
It's
like to
not
see
exactly what
specifically
Linda
what's
just said, but
compliant.
and the inspector said there was some rotting wood on there. He didn't say there was a tremendous amount. He cited the eyesore portion of the ordinance.
A 4-foot tall wood piles and eyesore in the woods.
Not the one that made the
Really?
determination, but. In the swimming pool, it was stated that the pool can hold more than 18 inches of water, and thus that is the violation at that time.
It doesn't. I mean, it does.
Can it?
but It's 18 inches.
Can it hold more than 18 inches?
If it's filled up to the top, it could, yeah.
Okay. Again, you're holding us, we're gonna be held to a T on every one of these ordinances because that's what we're being forced to do. I don't like it, but it's what we're being forced to do. So that's where we are with that. Any other questions from the board? Do you have anything else? You stated you would like to have the shown you where the issue is. I mean,
Yeah, I
We
didn't know
can
exactly.
ask, Brian can go out there, but keep in mind that he was stating that it was an eyesore to the neighbor, so. But
I would just like to say something. I agree with you, Joe. It makes me kind of sad to hear that neighbors are having a hard time with each other. I think it would be nice if all neighbors can get along, you know, and that would be great. Ignore each other if it has to be that way. You know, we all have neighbors that we sometimes don't like, but we live where we live. But it would be nice to kind of come to an agreement and just say, okay, this is our limit, don't do it. You know, and I would like to see, because you're both nice couples. And I just, you know, would like to see something happen that you get along for your sakes. Okay, thank you.
So I guess I'm asking for an extension and I want to actually walk the property with the building inspector out.
When is it due again?
I don't even know. how it's due.
7:20,
7:20?
right? So technically it would be,
I thought we were meeting in private, Joe. I didn't realize that they were in front of the whole town board. You were on vacation last week, so that's
Yeah.
why.
I was
gone. Well, why don't we just extend it then if they're beyond it and just have the, obviously, don't we have to extend it?
Well, if you can extend it, because that's the allowable thing, if the person comes in front of us, just so you know for the future as well, as long as they request before the 30 days is up, even, you know, to get in front of the board to ask for an extension, if it goes beyond their extension to get there, we still allow it to move forward. It's just
Yeah,
because we don't do a special meeting when somebody asks for, if their
right.
30 days is up in the middle of the month and we
Right.
just finished our board meeting. We don't do a special board meeting, so we just put them on the next agenda when they request it and then bring it to the board. So our agenda item does not, it states that they want to dispute their noncompliance, but it doesn't say that they are requesting a extension. So just, you know, you can do it. Our policy allows it.
When is the expiration of the 30 day?
Was the 20th, 7/20.
so if we did it's the second board meeting. 22nd.
The way I read it, it's become prior to the expiration of the 30 days.
But they
Yeah, we
requested it
requested
before
it within
then.
30 days.
They did request it before then,
Okay, just for the record, what was
the date that they requested it.
July 15th.
Plus, we got the certified letter.
that's why I'm just going through the policy, making sure we're following this. So just for clarity's sake, is the 30-day deadline for the date they receive it or the date the complaint is issued?
The date that it's received.
So do we have?
The day it's mailed.
I'm sorry, the day it's mailed.
Do we have a date
Date that it
of
was mailed.
certified mail?
They never picked up their certified mail. They got regular mail. They received it regular mail.
I don't know if it's point of discussion, but I think we need to satisfy 3 before we get 4.
Do you know when you sent out your, Brian, do you have the document that says when you sent the 30-day notice by certified mail?
Certified mail dates.
Come on up, Brian, because we got a,
Okay, so I received the receipt back today saying that it was never picked up and that there were 2 notices given. And that the date of the receipt is 6/30 of 2022. That was the date of the second letter that I sent out certified. The first one was not sent out certified. And I believe that was sent out on the 20th. Excuse me.
So 6:30 then.
So 6:30. and 7:30 is the date of expiration.
Correct.
So we're satisfying 3 and now we're proceeding to 4.
Correct.
I'd be in favor of at that point of granting it 30-day extension.
I would too.
It should be in favor of granting it actually until August 22nd to be a 32-day extension.
May I say something, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
An eyesore to one, that's the hardest part of our ordinance, is an eyesore to one is not an eyesore to another. So to walk his property and to change my mind, they don't have to change my mind to the eyesore, they have to change the complainant's view of an eyesore. So I can go out there, I know you said that, or Kathy had mentioned I would go out there, and I will, but I'm probably still not going to change my determination that the neighbor thinks it's an eyesore. I just wanted to state that.
What's the feelings in the board granting extension to August 22nd, Becky?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to grant the Lichties and, excuse me, the Habercorns an extension to August 22nd. Any other discussion? Anything you'd like to add? Dan, Rebecca? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to August 22nd. Item D is discussion necessary action regarding proposals for the 2022 compost. Oh, hang on, I'm sorry. I skipped over C. Item C, discussion necessary action to award bid for Business Park East Street and intersection improvements.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I have to leave.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So in front of you, you have a letter from Don Kunkel, Don from Kunkel. Bid went out. This was the second time we sent the bid out for Business Park East for the Leeds Lane. And so low bid was BPC company. So that's what's in front of you.
How much, so we had, oh, it's right, the last time we put this out, we didn't receive a bid
We
on it.
didn't receive any bids.
Okay, so this is,
And so
about
what we did on this bid was we allowed them to do the asphalt portion of things in spring. So they'll do the curb and gutter and the gravel and get it out there so then the people can start building their businesses. And then in spring, they'll come back and asphalt. It was all about timing. We couldn't even get a bid because of trying to get all that work done before the fall, so. After Don contacted a few of the people that he had contacted before, that's what their reasoning was. So we went out to bid and gave them more time to do it. We asked for your approval.
questions or comments from the board? Looks like we're about 300 higher than we were anticipating. But as far as TID costs go, this still puts us within the parameters for our TID payoff.
Yep.
Paula, anything?
No, as long as we're still in the good range and we're not over that, I'm okay with it.
Becky? Mark?
Is this a timeline-based item that are, I believe within the parameters of the law, we would have the option to delay or rebid it?
Well, this is the second time we've rebid it.
Right.
And it is time sensitive because we have businesses that want to start using that road. Start building their businesses such as Pete's Ranch.
Nobody's going to be open by the time, but we need to have a road for them to be doing construction on.
So they can start their construction, getting going, and then, but nobody will actually start open until spring because Pete's Ranch has on their agenda spring as their start date or their open date.
We'd have, even if we tried to do this in spring, it'd all be based on a thaw, and we'd have no idea if we could
Right,
get it.
and we don't know what, what kind of time, I don't know if we'd get anything better than this. And if we waited till fall to put it out again and waited till summer to have the work done. I just don't know if we get a better.
The unfortunate thing is the way things are going, I think it's going to be better next year, but we have, I don't know that we could get it in time.
We've had problems this whole year getting bids out. In the time and then, so we've had trouble with a few of our things that we pushed till next year, such as the path and things like that.
So this bid is that timeline that you just talked about, getting the work done in fall partially and then the rest in the spring.
That's correct. So it pulls it into next year's budget as well, so.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, I was just looking for some major variable expenses that would be in our favor. Don't maybe do anything, certain items. And that's the- I would guess.
Yeah.
We've done really well on a lot of our bids in the past, but this is the other way, unfortunately.
It is.
And we've done overall, I think, pretty good on some of the bids we had earlier in the project. We had one mishap with one pipe, but other than that, it's been pretty good.
And the last one, we actually came in, once the project was done, it actually came in under as well.
Everybody okay, feeling okay with this tonight? I mean, nobody likes over bids that are over.
To Brian, have a consultant or staff recommendation? Not Brian, Don,
Don had a recommendation.
right, but as far as writing those timetables, presented to him, as far as doing it now.
Well, that's what he did. Originally, we wanted the whole thing done this year, and then we didn't get any bids. And so then he broke it out thinking he'd get more bids and they'd be reasonable, but at this point, this is what the bid came in at. And we can't have, if we're looking for a business to open up in spring, we've got to have asphalt on that road in spring. So we've got to do the first part in, now to get it done in time for an opening.
So you're kindly telling us that there's
This would be,
now or never.
this would be, well, I'd like it to be a lot less expensive, but this is what the bid came in at. It's low
It's
bid.
called Do this now or be in violation of our other agreements.
Yeah, and I know we're going to be talking about some things in closed session, both of those items that both asked when that road's going in, so they can get. They were happy to hear that it was already bid and moving forward.
I guess I'll make a motion based on this to award the construction contract to Newton Peterson Construction Corporation from Sheboygan, Wisconsin for the low bid in the amount of $1,967,906.30.
Is there a second? Second by Becky. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right. Then item D, discussion necessary action regarding proposals for the 2022 compost site grinding needs.
Hello, so I collected 3 quotes again this year for grinding. We generally grind in spring before the compost site opens, but due to the fact that we have kind of 2 compost sites at the moment, we didn't need to grind it all to make room for the material that was going to be coming in from the residents because they started dumping off at the new site. So the old site has just sat vacant. We brought in our brush pickup from spring and A little easier to do it now when we can schedule it than in winter when I'm juggling snowstorms and trying to grind. So it's just taking advantage of this year and probably next year where we can do this. After that, we may have to go back to getting it done in March. But that being said, we worked with Enercon last year. They have a very good machine that is very efficient, and we knocked it out in 2 to 2.5 days, the whole project. So that was very efficient, and the other prices are close, but the fact that Enercon is the cheaper one, and we worked with them before, that's my recommendation. As you can see, there's a $15,000 max for the grinding. And then the mulch is just more mulch than we'll ever use and need. There's tons of mulch. So we don't have a need for mulch, so they'll haul it out for $1 a yard. And then, so we can put in there do not exceed 18,000 as a whole. And I have places to get rid of some mulch if we need to, if they can't take it all, but I think that'd be 3,000 yards and we'd be pretty close, but yeah, I'll make it work if we do a not to exceed 18. That's the budget, and that would match the second quote. So I just don't want to go over that. Obviously, that would be a little foolish. So if you have any questions, fire away.
I guess the way I'm reading it is $600 per hour, 24 hours of approximate grinding.
Correct.
So are we gonna be charged hourly rate, or is this just a lump sum?
Well, when you look at these piles, it's hard to say, yep, it's gonna take 20 hours. So he's going at high 24 hours. If we knock it out in 20, we won't pay the 15, we'll pay whatever the math is there. And then plus the $1 per yard on the removal. So it would be less. I mean, fingers crossed, we knock it out, I'll get another loader and the guys are good and we try to pound, but that's a huge pile up there. So we'll do our best, but no guarantees. But at least we know it won't go over 15, and if I can get it at 13, bonus.
I guess the position I don't want to put you in is if we cap it at 15, and it takes 20.
He'll do it all for 15 and eat crow on that. He's down with that. He just said job will not exceed 15,000 for the grinding. He's assuming it's going to take 24 hours, and that's the number he came up with. So he'll grind it all for 15 regardless. If we just come in under on hours, he's gonna charge us less. So
What I was saying, I don't want to cap you at 15, and then now we have to haul away.
Oh.
And we have to do a separate charge.
I hear you. We've looked at it. Everybody's kind of on the same page. It's around 3,000 yards of material to take out. So I don't think there's much to worry about there. So, yeah.
So, Paul, any questions? Becky?
I'd put a motion out for the grinding proposal by Enercon to accept as proposed.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item E, discussion necessary action regarding proposals for asphalt seal coating for DPW parking lot.
All right, we have $100,000 budget for crack filling and chip sealing / seal coating, I guess we'll say. There's 22,200 remaining in that after the crack fill contract was awarded to Thunder Road. So the DPW fire department, Fred Keller parking area was all repaved 4 years ago. The asphalt's in really good shape, and I'd like to preserve that. If we just let it go, it's gonna, deteriorate, crack out, and we'll be back to where we were before we know it. So there's the quotes you see, that would be a double coat of seal coat, and they repaint the lines on the parking lot. It's basically all inclusive. We don't have to do anything. The hardest part for me is coordinating the fire department to be working out of Richmond, which Michelle and I've already talked, but for them to work out of Richmond for probably 2 days, because you can't drive on it, obviously. So then they're gonna do it on a Friday for me, and then it'd be good for Monday. So worked with them all on that. PLM they actually have some property in the Corey Corners Business Park, so it's kind of cool. He came in with a low price, so Lisbon resident in a sense, and I recommend we go on with them. And this is typical asphalt seal coating you'd have done on your asphalt driveway.
Questions, anything for you, Becky? I'm sorry. Paula,
Nope, I'm good.
Mark, Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make that we vehicle parking lot at the DPW / fire station. Should not to exceed $9,733.
Second.
Final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Joe. Item 13 is Public Safety Committee referrals. Discussion, necessary action on request for stop signs to be placed on Monarch Court and Monarch Drive where they intersect with Twin Pine Circle.
Yes, we had a citizen request that we put stop signs on Monarch Court and Monarch Drive where they intersect with Twin Pine Circle. And it was brought in front of the Public Safety Committee. And the Public Safety Committee's recommendation was to put a 4-way stop there. The committee thought that we would take care of it now by putting a 4-way stop there instead of waiting for 2 years and having people complain that they were racing around Twin Pine Circle.
Questions from the board?
Yeah. Supervisor Plunkett, was that a named person for the complaint? Was there a named person for the complaint? Is it a resident in Twin Pines?
Yes, he lives in Twin Pine Circle. I don't have his name in front of me, but it was a resident.
Are there posted speeds on those roads?
I'm sorry.
Are there posted speeds? Is there a posted speed on there?
There is a posted speed when you come in the subdivision, which is, I believe, 25 miles per hour. Is that what it is, Joe?
Yeah. So every entrance off the main road is in Lake 5 Road. So at the Haas property, well, this is where Haas and Twin Pines meet. Basically, there was really no issue there, but all of a sudden Haas was built. And now you have a lot of people that can enter there, because if you're coming from the north, you can enter the Haas property and get to Twin Pines. It'd save you a little bit of then going south to the Twin Pines entrance. So they're utilizing the Haas entrance to get to their Twin Pines house. So every entrance off of the main road, we do post at 25 miles an hour. We just don't get into over signing internally in a subdivision because it's 25 miles an hour. There's no, at any of the entrances, we post 25. That's kind of just a policy. Unless there's a request, then Becky and the committee would talk about it. But
I guess my question would be, you asked to it, but two things. Was there, I see on Twin Pine and Perennial Terrace, we have a through on Perennial Terrace and a stop on a 2-way for Twin Pine Circle East. I'll call it.
correct.
And then the next one is on Perennial Terrace at Twin Pine Circle West.
That end, yeah.
How come on the north end, the intersection in question was never posted originally? And then also too, on the south side, Twin Pine Circle and Marshall Court, there's no control either.
Right.
That's the next one.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know, I found it kind of confusing when I rode through that subdivision. Because there is a stop and then there's not a stop. And it just seems like, I don't know how they decide who's gonna stop, but they, this came from a resident. He asked specifically about Monarch Court and Monarch Drive. And then, like I said, the Public Safety Committee just felt it was an opportune time to just make it a 4-way stop instead of just putting stop signs on Monarch Drive and Monarch Circle.
Both of these developments figure to our, Haas just opened up a year or two ago. Twin Pines Phase 3 literally just went in last year. So these areas are newer, that's another reason why they're coming to light a little bit. And yeah, why those signs. I believe the one on the west end where Perennial Terrace teased off on Twin Pine Circle was on one of the meetings maybe within the last few years, but those two that are at Twin Pines where it meets Perennial, that was like that before I started. So good question.
Yeah, we're in the discussion of a four-way
Mhm.
implementation on the north and south ends, essentially in the middle of the subdivisions. But we don't have a four-way control at probably the two busier intersections. That being Twin Pine Circle East at Perennial Terrace, and then Perennial Terrace at Twin Pine Circle West.
There's no control in all of those, correct?
Well, like the control would be, the first one I addressed would be Twin Pine Circle going southbound and northbound has control,
Okay.
but Perennial Terrace has no control. And then to the west, Perennial Terrace has a control, and then Twin Pine Circle, for lack of better naming, west has no control. So
I think the Monarch Court and Drive were picked because that's where they're coming in from the Haas Farm subdivision, is where they end up when they come in through there. And then the other one, I think, is actually Pine Street
Mhm.
right,
would be the Marshall. That's where those roads come in.
Perennial.
I guess.
I mean, it's a recommendation.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand the logic of it. I would imagine very few people from Haas are coming down Monarch to go to Twin Pine to leave. I mean, I think the easier way is to use Red Fox right up to Lake 5.
I agree. It's mostly the traffic going to Twin Pines. They're using Haas to get to Twin Pines, not what you said where they're in Haas going to Twin Pine. They're just, like you said, going east to Lake 5. It's the people that are coming in, because if you just throwing this out there, I don't care what you do. But either way, when you're coming from the north, you enter at the Haas property, because that's an earlier entrance than going up the hill to the Twin Pine or the Perennial line. You know what I mean? If you live on that north end of Twin Pines, you just quicker to go through Haas. That's probably what they're seeing. Traffic picked up. But I don't know. It's just my theory.
But I sent an email out this afternoon after speaking with our attorney, and he just wanted to make sure that we had some kind of policy in making decisions on signage, some kind of policy. If we're looking at a manual to see what the manual says, so many accidents, so many cars, or if you talk to the sheriff.
We are talking about internally subdivisions, and we deal with them on a individual basis, and I don't think that having a policy, we do have a policy for when the engineer helps plat the subdivision, they decide where the signs are going in the beginning, but these are requests from residents, and I just think Public Safety Committee has met once a year for the last 3 years, and before that, we did not meet for 4 years. So we do not meet a lot. We don't have a lot of these issues, and that's why we deal with them on a individual basis. Yeah, because it's not worth it to come up with a policy when you're going to have to base it on the individual subdivision.
So do you generally,
That's my viewpoint.
do you generally follow the homeowner's requests then? I mean, is that,
If I have had the members reject something that the homeowners have said because they don't feel it was necessary, but that was more with speed limits. They want lower. The board has turned down a couple of those. And in that case, we also go to, we talk to the the Waukesha County Sheriff. We have Joe look at statutes and see, you know, in roads, what we can do with speed limits, but normally with, signs, I talk to the sheriff, see if there's any problem. We talk to Joe to see what he thinks. And then the board members drive through the subdivision and that's how they make their decision. But they have.
Have you ever had just curiosity wise, have you ever had
Right, because we don't meet very often, so it's, you know.
have you ever put up stop signs and then had other people contact you and complain that you put the stop signs in?
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, well, maybe you could ask Joe. I was. not
There are
involved
two
in
I'd
that
rather, there are
decision.
two I would take back in a heartbeat if I could.
I just was
We
curious.
had one we put up and it was stolen at least 4 or 5 times. Yeah, they took the whole sign a couple times, the whole pole and everything. But yeah, there's a couple on Batter John that I would take back in a heart. Nobody obeys them. They just blow right through. I mean, it created a hazard in my opinion.
Yeah.
So were the stop signs intended to slow down cars or to control an intersection?
They were intended, I think, to slow down cars.
So that was our argument on Batter John was that while stop signs are not intended to slow cars down, we thought it would have the unintended consequence of directing people around because they're using Batter John as a cut through. So the intent was if you have to stop twice, you're not going to use Batter John anymore, but found out that they're not even stopping, they're just going through, which is, yeah.
Yeah, so do we make an enforcement issue if, you know, they're driving through? I mean, I don't know how
Here's
much
the-
guys want to be like,
So it's an interesting thing with this subdivision. If you look at it, it's a racetrack. Round.
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, are people doing that? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, and I think that's why the committee decided to put a four-way stop, which would stop any of that from happening as that area gets more developed.
Well, the
You
newer
know.
subdivisions tend to have younger families too, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are concerned about kids on bikes and, you
Yeah,
know,
because it is a perfect purpose.
yeah.
You know, something we haven't discussed, we always, because we have a no speed bump policy in the town. What about seasonal speed bumps? What about those rubber ones we can stick in the road and keep there during summer, but then we remove them for winter?
Try it.
Because I mean, we always have been no speed bumps because we can't, it'll screw our plows up, but I see all these rubber ones now that you
Yeah.
can put out and then come,
It would
come
wake 'em up.
spring. I mean, I do it as far as to go as we start getting complaints on the road with speed bumps, we put them up and then in subdivisions, and then when the complaint goes away, we'll take them off, but if they go back, we go back on.
They were taking the stop signs now, are they gonna, speed bumps disappearing?
Well, you never know, but
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good idea though, actually.
Do you have municipalities that have done speed bumps, the rubber speed bumps? I don't know. It's a question for both of you.
Yeah, I don't think we have any.
no, we've always had a no speed bump
Yeah.
policy.
I just saw like the utilities was working and they have one of those contractors do the flagging for them. It was on 83 in North Lake one day. I came home and all of a sudden they just threw those down in the middle of nowhere, no warning. But it got your attention before you got to the flagger that, hey, what the heck is this? And then, I mean, it's not a bad idea because it makes you just, what happened to my car? And then, oh, okay.
I'd even go as far as to put a sign right on it, the speed dump is
Yeah.
here because of speed complaints, and when speed complaints stop, we'll take it out. And when they start, we're putting it back.
I guess what was the specific, I don't need the whole letter read, but what was the specific complaint? Was it failure to stop violations, speed violations, unsafe driving conditions? What- I guess my point here is, I don't know that there is a problem. Not saying there's not, but what is the problem? We don't have any way to quantify it. We don't have evidence of speed violations, citizen requests, or other than one person. I mean,
It is just one person.
there's approximately on each loop, there's 20 to 30 houses on each loop, so let's just be generous and say there's 120 houses in Twin Pines and one person is complaining. Not saying that this should be a denial, but I think we should be prudent in the fact that this may cause more complaints. I mean, I'll just throw out a house. There's going to be 4 houses on the top intersection that are now going to be having cars slow down and either stop completely and then cause more disturbance by acceleration noise. Or secondly, they're going to have more people now failing to obey the stop signs and going through them. So,
I found the email. If you want, do you want me to read it? I don't know.
sure.
Okay. Hi, Joe. Here's the follow-up email from our call. Looking to get a stop sign two-way, put it at the intersection of Monarch Court and Drive and Twin Pine Circle. Ever since Haas Farms has been extended through, it's been used as a way to cut through to Lake 5 and multiple times have seen FedEx or private vehicles not slow down or stop at all when coming to Twin Pine Circle. Below is where I think they should go. They put 2 dots on the map. Makes sense on Monarch Court and Drive as those are the crossing streets. Also attached is the video I captured from this morning's event. So,
Is that person's name
yes, do you want it?
or even address?
I don't have an address, but I just see his name on his email. It's your call if you want me to announce it.
I'm looking at relevancy.
Yeah.
Distance to the intersection.
I think he's right there. I think so. His initials are JB, if you want that. J. But yeah, that's just what he,
So he's recommending a free flow on Twin Pine,
correct,
but he wants north and southbound traffic.
correct.
think he mainly wants to stop, slow down the traffic from Moss Farm, which they come in on Monarch Drive.
Mhm.
I guess my opinion on it is I can get behind the Monarch Drive, Monarch Court posting because it follows the spirit of the postings at other places in the subdivision. I'm not opposed to a 4-way. I don't have any evidence to say that we should even address it. I.e., his complaint doesn't address it. And secondly, it's something we could easily collect. Being in the business, we could collect data on complaints, speed monitoring devices. We have those abilities to collect that data. So I guess at this time, I could only get behind the Monarch posting north and south.
From what I see on the video, I'm gonna say southwest corner. Is where he lives.
Paula, does that change your mind at all or still?
I mean, I agree that we do it, but I also think it's a good idea to try to collect some data and see what, if it's going to solve the problem completely or there's still going to be an issue there.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's one of the boxes, like you put a box on the side of the road and they drive over the strips. Is that the
Yeah, I don't,
technology
You got radar
yeah, I
too.
don't know what the town specific.
for the radar?
I'm talking covert measurement. Like Jamar, you guys got that? They have the resources. They can get it.
We even monitor the other intersections we were talking about, like, why if there's a similar one somewhere else. I mean, maybe we look at that one. I don't know. I mean, does it make sense to do it just where one person is complaining about it and not somewhere else if it is really a safety issue? But I'd be willing to go for the 2 that he's talking about now.
When I guess, looking ahead, if it's not posted, you're not going to get failure of their sign violations because you don't have any signs posted. So the only real problem you could have there at this point is either vehicle crashes, which you can measure through crash reports, or secondly, we could have a speed measurement placed there for a period of time and see if there is even a speeding problem. So I guess, not saying this is the case, but sometimes when people are at intersections that have an increase in traffic volume, they get annoyed by it and they see this as an easy way to fix their annoyance, but really the traffic volume is not going to be solved. It's just a natural increase in residential density. Not saying I wouldn't support anything at this point, but I think we have the ability to do homework, and the subdivision's been around for 5 years. 6 years. Oz Farms is here, but
That a lot of these subdivisions, as we all know, in the last 2 years is built out. I mean, there was nobody living in there 3 years ago, honestly, in that north section. It was two homes. So it's all happening here together because the boom of the house is just built out. Even though it was 5 years ago, but there was nobody living in there.
Well, and I'll just say one more time, I think, I do agree, Mark, I think that we should at least collect data on speeding, because again, you have a lot of families in there with kids and, God forbid somebody asks to do this and we don't, act on it or do something, at least look into it and, So I think we should look into it and see what, if there is a problem to be solved or not, then we know.
So I'm hearing we want to redirect this back to the Public Safety Committee to look into the speeding issue and bring back more data. You get to have 2 meetings.
I guess
You get to have 2 meetings.
Way to make her day.
do we have to kick it back to committee level, or can we?
I don't know.
So the
Direct.
town does own those 2 speed boxes we purchased, They're a little bit of a pain when you don't have telephone poles or something in the area, because they're made to just bolt. We don't have a wagon style where you can lock it and just park it on the street. So our style just slaps up. Well, we put it on a post. We've done it before, but you're putting it on our 2-inch metal post, and then we padlocked it to the receiver in the ground, because it's a $3,000 deal, sitting up there, it'd be nothing. I'll take a 5/16 bolt out and take it home with you. So we locked it. It held, it stayed, we never lost it, but the receiver sits in the ground that far only. Take much, and we've done it, and I'll do it again there, so we could put them up. It's just one day I could show up and the thing's gone, and there's no way to secure it. How do you anchor it down? Stopping. Yeah, it had nothing to do with speed. The video showed a car coming from Haas north on Monarch south into that court. So, and it never stopped. It just, it wasn't doing 50, it was doing probably 20, 25, but it just rolled right through Twin Pines Circle. So that's, I think, what he's getting at, is just to keep the cars that are crossing Twin Pines Circle from just not turning or going straight through the intersection without slowing down.
I guess I am thinking too, was this directed just to the Public Safety Committee via a
It
complaint to
came
you?
to me, and then I usually forward those to Becky because I don't have the
I
right.
guess, is it something we can solve by just having a request to the Sheriff's Department for targeted enforcement? They may come back and report that there's absolutely no problem there, or they could report, yes, there is a problem, and we've done this many enforcement stops. I don't have the ability to make an informed decision right now.
Well, do we need to go back to the public safety at this point, or Becky, would you be comfortable if we just got some information and brought it back to the board? As the spokesperson for the committee.
Take it back to the Public Safety Committee. They've already made their recommendation.
Okay, so we could just request some more information and bring it back here again.
And I hate to
I'll work
have a
with
meeting and
Lisa.
stuff.
I'll work with Lisa.
So that's A and B. I guess we're gonna want that on all 3 of them. I'm assuming. So C was discussion necessary action regarding traffic and speed issues along Ridgeview and Skyview.
People are blowing through the stop sign and speeding on that little area.
Okay,
And, Officer Wolf, he has been out there and the stop Officer Wood's suggestion was that we borrow the Sussex or Waukesha County speed trailer that will records the speeds, so that we have a better idea there what time they're speeding through there. If it's like a morning rush hour, if it's when the kids are on their way to school. So that one, they wanted to see if we could just borrow the speed trailer and get more information.
Didn't, we used to have a speed trailer.
Huh?
We used to have a speed trailer. Is that gone?
Yeah, we don't have. Not that, I mean, Lisbon doesn't.
We used to own one, but probably a while ago.
Maybe they took that too.
ARPA money.
No, it's gone.
No, I think
Well, they were gonna suggest it for budget time.
ARPA money, yeah.
I would, I think the purpose for that borrowing request would probably be for the purpose of recording, not just a visual translation.
Okay.
Because it's a and it comes out of Ironwood. That's the road from Ironwood into Mount Shadow.
Mhm.
And it runs, and it's not that long, and it has a stop sign at Indian Head and Rich Road. And then there's another stop sign at Skyview, which is the same road as Ridge Road, and Mount Shadows. And the committee from Mount Shadow said that people are speeding there and running the stop sign. So we thought we could get more information on that. But I didn't think I could, text Captain Dennis and ask her. You just speak.
I can talk to Lisa about if the board so chooses.
I guess just over something I overheard, what about ARPA funds? It's not, I mean, we got 3 issues here that specifically would call for that technology purchase. So, and I know that Kevin Panis has those numbers and
I can get
has
that.
been researched many times, so
Now,
I guess why don't we as a group get some numbers
Okay.
for, I guess the things that I would seem probably most necessary out of these complaints is some kind of covert speed collection box.
Can I just intervene for 1 second? Our 2 units, Lisa's who brought those to Capitol 2 years ago. So she'll remember this, obviously. I'd assume we can maybe incorporate one of those into one of these trailers, and maybe it would have to probably make most sense to convert it to solar, it's battery, so we always have to go swap batteries out every 2 weeks on them.
These are the mounted ones, all right?
So,
Right, but I mean,
the-
if we're not gonna use them that often and they're just gonna stick, if you're gonna get this trailer, you're gonna use this trailer all the time, and these 2 things are gonna collect dust, I can promise you that much. So what, if you can use one of them, or we sell them both and then buy a trailer with one on it.
So having knowledge of it, it's hard to retrofit a
Okay.
unit into a trailer and not have technology interference. So they actually have to be
Okay,
married.
maybe
together
sell them
from
then
the
and
get-go.
put
But I
that
don't think we
money.
need to sell them. I'm sure the boxes, who deploys them? The sheriff or?
Last year, they were out pretty often. This year, it's been quiet, honestly, other than this complaint. I haven't had many calls about speed, so they haven't got used too much.
And normally when I get complaints on speed, I go directly to
Sure.
Captain Pants, and she deploys her personnel.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had.
I like that idea.
I would say also too, probably about $7,500 would be a speed sign that also records the data. What I mean is like a speed limit sign that gives a visual representation of the actual speed,
Yeah, like,
collects the data. and
like
then-
what's on which side?
Yep, like by the elementary school.
Yeah.
Ours does it.
We have,
The 2 we have, I can record all day long. You pull up right next
no, it's, I know, is it the visual one?
Yeah. It's digital.
Yeah,
And it'll flash, I can set it where it'll flash
The
slow.
one,
if
the
it's-
one I'm talking about is the previous one that I was
Yeah.
talking about. It's, you don't even know it's there. I mean, you grab the black box.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so people
That's
don't.
what
It's
people
hard to do record and have digital read up. I see this, like a
Well, I
secret.
record what speed limit they're going, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, to say the least, how fast cars go.
wouldn't we use those?
Yeah, I think we can use those tools to help measure, but I'm saying there's a more covert way.
I got you, yeah.
If you want to get a
If
true
somebody sees-
representation,
If somebody
Right.
sees a
They
speed limit
slow
sign,
down.
they're gonna inherently slow down.
Yeah.
Right.
If somebody
but
sees a
maybe
black-
We could use a covert one on this Ridge Road, but if we're worried about speeding in Twin Pines, we could use ours, and just stick one up by Monarch and one by Marshall. And see if people are speeding. I think it's just to
but
keep the people slowed down when they come in from the other subdivision.
Yeah, I guess in my eyes, we would use two different technologies. Twin Pines, put up like covert black box only to collect speed, traffic volumes. And then secondly, on Ridge, we would use the visual deterrence, which we already have, which also collects information. Just two recommendations.
My truth,
Oh, no, I was just gonna interject. Email out to traffic manager. The only things that really have on the side.
In Lake, yeah, Lake 5, lots of Lake 5.
if I can just, that trailer would be, I don't want to spend your money, but I mean, that would be huge. There's a lot of logistics, because I have to call a digger's locate in to do the ones we have now, unless I'm mounted to a telephone pole, that's it. But if it's not, I have to call diggers locate, pound a post, put the post up, hang the thing. We change the batteries out, every week or 2 weeks. They usually last about 2 weeks. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pain in the what, it just is. So we'll do it if people request them, but to have a trailer where we could hook up, drop it, done,
And we-
solar,
we used to have one.
way easier. And I'd be all about putting that out there more often.
Again, being in the business, I think the trend is to go away from speed trailers just because
You're not helping me.
I know, I rarely go against you, but I'm gonna go against you.
I hear you. Well, you brought it up.
Yeah, and the new technology is to put the signboard with the capabilities to do exactly what the trailer does without the burden of having to park the speed trailer on level ground and not get it hit by a car.
10 for it. Well, maybe something I
There's
should
just-
just
there's
work
very-
on a more
There's,
simple way to mount them.
I guess if you drive past the Sussex Fire Department, you see that trailer out, I think it's actually out right now, but perfect example of where you can put it. They have a paved shoulder next to the roadway. It's not an obstruction of traffic. It
Sure.
does its job great.
You're right, it's tough on these shoulders.
Try and put one here on right outside town
It
hall.
cause more
I
problems.
mean, you're gonna be so far into the right of way that you're not even gonna get good data.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm down with that. I guess maybe we could come up with something that's it's tough though. How do you anchor something in the land, that isn't easily taken? It's just challenging. When they call on Hillside and Plainview, it's usually easy because they're telephone poles. Go on a subdivision, there really aren't. Everything's underground.
I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to use some ARPA funds for, we have a rising
Which is item 14.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Segue.
So what's the action on C then? We're gonna see if we can use Sussex's technology to determine if there's
I think we use it. The town has.
Yeah, we can use our,
we can use ours.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need a motion on that or just direct staff to
Just direct
understands what's
staff.
going on? Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
All right. That is A, B, and C then. So then we move to item 14, which is unfinished business, which is discussion necessary action regarding American Rescue Plan Act expenditures.
I didn't have anything new, but this is a new item.
Yeah, I guess, seeing them, I mean, it's the first time you heard of traffic problems coming to the board's eyes. And I don't want to say problems, alleged problems. We don't put it there true yet. I guess I would direct staff to go back to the police services to find out what their recommendation would be, and then secondly, what it would cost. I know that the speed collection is probably, depending on the add-ons, it's probably 4,000 to 7,000. The radar signs are roughly 5,000 to 6,000. A speed trailer is, depending on how you outfit it, is twice that. So,
I know I'm bringing back at the next meeting, like I mentioned during my report, the flock cameras that they would be sheriff's department. So bring that forward as well.
Okay.
See what your thoughts are. That comes to, they're requesting 2 from us and 2 from Sussex. $2,500 piece. But it would be operating budget, so it would be $5,000 a year for these cameras. I have information on them. I'll bring it forward. And
Sounds good.
with this information as well.
All right.
See which one.
Anything else?
How much is still unspoken for of the ARPA money? Kathy, I know
I'd have to, let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
I just have, we don't have that much taken out of it, so I haven't,
Most of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just thinking of the number. Okay.
got $1 million, $1.1 million on it, so. What we did was, staff at this point. It's the only thing we spent, actually put money out at was staff. We have the 15,000 and the 30,000 outfit as well, but for future, for the basketball and the baseball.
Okay.
Okay. Move to item 15, which is closed sessions pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 parent E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. More specifically regarding A, an offer to purchase from Quick Trip, and B, a revised offer to purchase from Jim Forrester for lands located within Lisbon Business Park East. Is there a motion to go in a closed session? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Aye.
Supervisor Moonen,
Aye.
Supervisor Quinn,
Aye.
Supervisor Plotecker.
We'll go in a closed session then at 8:09.
For anyone that's participating on Zoom, I am going to place you into a waiting room during the closed session.
We had a motion, by Becky, seconded by Paula, to come out of closed session. All ayes, we're out at 8:50. Looking for a motion out of closed session. I would move to approve the offer to purchase from Quick Trip Inc.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. With no other action out of closed session. Item 17 is a motion to adjourn. Second,
I'll second.
second by Paula. All in favor? Opposed? You're out at 8:51. Which will lead us into our
Thank you, everyone.